So here we'll see a fascinating thing, how really the two stories of Noach, the beginning and the end, are not just two separate stories. They're really two stories that represents the tragedy or the possibilities or the challenge of the human condition. The world of the Mabul is a world in which individualism becomes so powerful that it reaches an extreme. I am so busy expressing myself, I don't care about you. Not I care about you, not about your money, not about your family, not about your life. It becomes irrelevant. This is a society that is so individualistic to the point that there's no boundaries. My individualism can be practiced and realized at the expense of everybody else because I exist. And my needs have to be met, or my desires have to be met. So if I have to steal, I steal. I have to backstab you, I backstab you. I need your spouse, I take your spouse. I need your life, I take your life. Mala haaretz chamas, it's a world of violence. There's absolute corruption, there's no justice. There's no boundaries, there's no moral compass. So the Daya Flaga sees this. So what do they say? They say, we got to eliminate this. How do you eliminate it? You create a collective society. You go to the other extreme. No individualism. There's no you anymore. That was the problem. The problem was you and you and you and me. There's no me, there's no you. You have Karl Marx. This is Marx. This is Lenin. This is Trotsky. Some of them are Jews. Marx is Jewish and Trotsky is Jewish. And Lenin comes from Jews. Stalin we don't take credit for. We're not interested. Trotsky was noch a shtickl mohus. Stalin was stama chaya shabachayas. You understand? They're responding. They were deep people. That's why they come right after the Mabul. They say, who needs this? Who needs this? Now it's interesting, the Netziv, I told you, I think, the Netziv in his commentary on Chumash at the end of Noach, he says this. And you have to understand that the Netziv passed away, I think, 1893, Tafresh Nun Gimel, yeah? So he was living in the generations when the manifesto of Marx was becoming very, very famous. And millions of Jewish youth were completely leaving Judaism and grasping onto the new messages, and he knew this better than everybody else because he had a yeshiva, the Volozhina yeshiva, and he knew what was happening in the Volozhina yeshiva very, very well. And there was a breeding ground for great Go'inim and great Talmidei Chachamim who came from Volozhin, but also Volozhin produced some extremely young revolutionary Jews, like all Jewish communities at the time. Wherever there was people with an intellectual bent, it was very hard for them to stick to the Blad Gemara or the Shulchan Aruch. And the Volozhin Yeshiva was closed down. So when he writes this commentary, he's not writing it. He doesn't connect it, but he's not writing it in isolation. My hunch is, when I read it the first time, that he was writing about something that was very relevant, and it was almost prophetic because in a few decades the manifesto would become implemented through the Bolshevik Revolution in his country, in the Soviet Union. Volozhin is Belarus.
Why would the youth go for it?
Now we know that 50 million people were killed. Then it sounds wonderful. Doesn't it sound when you're a 19-year-old young man that there should be no jealousy anymore?
Bernie Sanders.
No strife, no competition. You don't look at that guy and say, schmutzige Gewirr, mamza, behema, this. It's all gone. It's all over. No, okay, but that's the concept. Is he felt that all strife in the world came from economic inequality. If there's economic equality, there's peace. Of course, the Yisoid is a mistake because he didn't believe that people have souls. Everything is economics. Everything is money. Is Marx right? He may be right, but it's not true. A lot is money, and in some societies, everything is money. That's true. Or 99.9% is money, right? But some people have a little more than money. There's a little more to themselves than money. Somewhere hidden, there's a nekuda. So even if you create equality in economics, you didn't deal with the core issues. The core issue, money is important, economics is powerful, but he believed there's nothing else. Communism didn't believe in a soul. They never believed in a soul. Russia produced unbelievable scientists, but the soul, the communism destroyed. They didn't believe there's a soul. So this is a collective society, and the Netziv says that's why they wanted a tower. They would have watchmen for anybody to scatter away, not just geographically, but also mentally. Think on your own. Everyone spoke one language and common words. The Netziv says it's not what they said. It's the fact that nobody could say anything independent. You had to copy what the other person said. Dvarim achadim, like parrots. Anybody know such societies? Everybody repeats exactly what the other person says.
North Korea.
I'm glad you had to go so far. Here is an idealistic man. Okay. Everybody creates their own environment. You surround yourself with the people you want to surround yourself with. So everyone speaks one language. Everyone has common words. Because nobody could chas v'shalom say anything they're thinking. Because if I tell you what I'm thinking and it may be opposite of what you're thinking, I'm immediately labeled, I'm the enemy of the state or whatever, the enemy of the kehillah or the community and so on and so forth. Is that a good thing or a bad? They said it's the best thing. There will be no corruption, no violence, no ownership, no I. The state runs the state. And everyone is held in check. And we're just here to create one society. It's a beautiful idea. And yet the power of the story of the Dor HaFraga is that God intervenes because whenever you suppress individuality, God says you're doing a crime. That's the power of that story. It's an incredible idea. Just like you can't create a society of complete individualism, which creates a Mabel, you can't create a society where you suppress individuality and it's just a cohesive oneness that looks perfect, but underlying it, what you did was you destroyed the core of life, because the core of life is not that there's no yesh and we go back to ayin. The yisoid kol ha'torah kol is bittul hayesh la'ayin. And bittul always means the synthesis, the alignment, the unity between yesh and ayin. That the yesh becomes a reflection of the ayin. How do you create a cohesive society that is not corrupt? In other words, it's not individualistic to a point of extremism without suppressing individual creativity. Is that even possible? Is it possible? The Jewish religious community struggles with this constantly. You look at any yeshiva, any shul, any kehillah, any beis medrash, different batei midrash, different zals, whatever style it is, this community, that community, this is a very, very profound struggle, and it often has a lot of casualties, in one way or another way.
Watch the full class at theyeshiva.net.